March 21, 2012, and we're talking with Angela Buonocore, Senior Vice President and Chief Communications Officer for Xylem. We're here at the Grand Hyatt Hotel in New York, and this is for the Page Center Oral History Project. Angela, could you tell us a little bit about your career trajectory from your experience at the University of Florida to where you are at Xylem? What happened and how did you get where you are?
Sure. Well, it's been a 30-plus year career, so it would take a long time to take you through the whole story, but I'll take you through the abbreviated version. Let me take you through a little history of my career, starting with I completed my Bachelor of Science degree out of the College of Journalism and Communications at the University of Florida with a concentration in advertising. I was always very interested in storytelling, and originally had planned to major in English or literature and gravitated more toward the commercial side, thinking that I would either go into journalism or advertising. And as it happened, when I completed my bachelor's degree, I was lucky enough to have interviewed with General Electric Company and to be offered a position with GE in upstate New York. I'm originally from New York. The idea of moving back, at least in the vicinity of New York City, was appealing. But what was even more appealing, I think, as a college graduate, was to be able to join a company with a very, very powerful brand that was known worldwide. And if you will look at my resume, that has been my history. I am a person who loves big brands, and I love building brands. And so my career has been all about corporate communications, the brands, the reputations of the company, and looking at communications from the aspect of what we can do to help the entire enterprise reflect the image and the personality of its brands, the corporate brand, and oftentimes it's the product brands as well. I spent almost 5 years with GE in a couple of different assignments. I learned a tremendous amount there. I always tell people it was tantamount to going to graduate school. GE at the time had its own internal advertising and PR training that was given to the cadre of folks that were brought in. And so in addition to having a day job, I was able to take courses that were taught by GE experts in communications, and it really was a career-shaping experience and a wonderful place to start my career. I moved from there to IBM, another huge brand, and I would say that was one of the most joyful experiences of my career. I loved IBM, everything about it. I still own quite a bit of IBM stock, and GE stock too. And IBM for me was a wonderful experience in not only being able to impact and influence a lot of the communications and business work, but in working with some of the best communicators I ever worked with, and learning from each other. Obviously, the communications organization is very large, both in GE and IBM, and so the opportunity to be part of that fraternity of communicators that was global and to learn from each other was really a wonderful career experience. I was very lucky because when I joined IBM, I started in the personal computer division back in 1983, and this was when PCs were very new on the scene. And being at IBM, over the course of the time I worked in the PC division, I got to work on a number of different projects, including the fact that I got to meet both Bill Gates and Steve Jobs way back when. And I look upon some of those moments as some of the fondest memories I have of my career, not only from the learning experience, but also from the experience to have an impact on a business that was just really very dynamic and growing. I spent 4 years in the PC division down in Florida, and then moved back up to New York in 1987. And did a lot of work on ad campaigns, going back to my roots of the study I had done in advertising. I had done some advertising at GE as well, and I worked on the Charlie Chaplin campaign, which is studied these days as a classic in corporate communications, and then into the launch of the whole new Personal System 2 campaign. And I had a number of assignments at IBM because I was there for 11 years. Ended up managing media relations for all of IBM United States, ended up being the assistant to the head of all of communications for IBM United States, and that was kind of a shadow job to really learn what it takes to be the top executive in communications. And then I became the director of communications programs for doing all of the leadership meetings, the Golden Circle, and all the recognition meetings, etc. And then one day I got a call for a job at Pepsi. And I told you I love big brands, and I had always wanted to work on a consumer brand. And so I thought, even as much as I loved working at IBM, this was kind of an opportunity that was really hard to say no to. And so I joined Pepsi-Cola North America, and I ran employee communications for Pepsi-Cola North America for a number of years. And then I got a very exciting chance to work on the initial public offering when PepsiCo spun off their largest bottler, which ended up being Pepsi Bottling Group. And then I got the top communications job there, reporting to the CEO. And I was there for a number of years, 12 years, all in at PepsiCo. And then one day I got a call, and the call was from a search firm looking for a head communications person for ITT. And I thought, this is an interesting assignment, another large manufacturing company, another big brand, a brand with a lot of history and past to it. I went over and met the chairman, Steve Loranger. And after I got done meeting with Steve, I knew that I wanted that job, because Steve was a CEO that really understood the partnership between communications and the executive role, his role, and really understood that the chief communications officer of the company is not the CCO, it's the CEO. And that's something I've always understood. And so for me, to have a CEO that really gets that, and to work in partnership with him to get the right messaging, and to really start doing some work to change the culture, which is some of what he wanted to do, was really an opportunity of a lifetime for me. And so I joined ITT in 2007. And then as time moved on, last year, we announced that we were going to spin off our water business and our defense business and create 3 companies. And I got the opportunity to go with the water business. All 3 of these companies I think are wonderful, terrific companies, but I was very excited about joining the water business and really creating a brand from the ground up. And so I led, in my role as the head of communications for ITT, all the work associated with my team, obviously, of creating 2 new brands. Xylem was the brand we chose for the water business, and ITT Excelis for our defense business, and then a whole new kind of design around ITT Corporation and kind of refreshing of their brand. So my team did a phenomenal job with that, and plus all the other work required to really separate an $11 billion company into 3 separate entities. And we completed it on a very aggressive schedule. We announced it in January and completed the spin-offs on October 31st.